Okay.
Oh, can I have these? Are we on?
For you too, Paula. I'm not started.
And then you're gonna hold up the thing for everyone, I guess, to take a picture of. I feel very scattered. What did I say I was doing first?
You're gonna start on breakfast, right, to get it in the oven? No.
Because breakfast tastes the longest, yes. And then we'll mix up the other things. It's on already?
Give it a few seconds and we should be connected.
So this one's got 50 seconds, a minute of dead air. Hello, everyone. Are we connected? We live? Yes. Thank everyone for joining us. I'm sorry I'm running a few minutes late. Always the last minute. My gross disrespect for time, as my husband refers to it as often. This is Rhonda with Ideal Body Image, Ideal Weight Loss. Thank you for joining us for our May cooking workshop. We're very excited. We have all kinds of really, really exciting things going on in the clinic. We're bringing in bread. We're bringing in all kinds of new things so that you will never think that you are dieting, and you'll be able to lose great weight and have fun. On the menu today, Nay's going to show it to people as well once we get everything up and running, but we're going to do banana bread for breakfast. It's going to have 2 servings, so breakfast today, breakfast tomorrow, or if you're married, you can, have a roommate, whatever. You've got 2 different meals in one step, and you also get a cup of vegetables with your breakfast, which is fun. We're also going to do some veggie biscuits for lunch. It's going to make 3 servings. Each has a cup of vegetables in them. So again, easy breezy. Now you've gotten 2 cups of your vegetables out of the way. And then we're going to do some stuffed poblano peppers for dinner, compliments of Dr. Yogi. This is a recipe she whipped up on Thursday evening, so we thought we would bring it to you guys and let y'all try it out. And then we're going to do a Jello poke cake, which is going to blow your mind. It is the craziest thing, but it is really, really, really good. So we're going to do things in a little bit of kind of wonky order, only because of the cooking times that we need on different things. I've got the oven already preheated to 350. We're going to use the air fryer today. We're going to start with breakfast and get it mixed up and get it in the oven, because the bread needs to cook about 35-45 minutes, depending. When I use the actual little bread pan, I have these little tin ones. When I use this one, I felt like the center never got as done as I would like it, so I decided to use my nifty 5x7 container, and we're gonna use that one for the workshop and see how it goes. But regardless, the bread needs almost 45 minutes to cook. So we're gonna get that one in the oven cooking, and then we're gonna mix up the dessert, our cake, because it also needs a good solid 30 minutes of cook time as well. And then we'll move on to lunch, because it just needs 15 minutes. So while it's cooking, we'll be rolling to dinner. So anyway, no further ado. And I don't know if Nay wants to hold these up to, or I can even do it, I don't know. If you want to.
I'm going to post it on Instagram. You guys can screenshot it so you can follow along.
Even better. So in order to make our banana bread, what we're going to need is we're using a pancake, just the regular golden pancake. Now, if you like, chocolate chips in your banana bread, you absolutely could use the caramel mug cake or the vanilla mug cake or the chocolate chip pancake. You know me, no right or wrong. I'm also using a banana pudding, the tropical banana pudding. And again, we've got some interesting combinations in here that you wouldn't always think of. We're going to, I feel like I got a lot of stuff here, sorry. We're gonna empty 1 packet of pancake, 1 packet of pudding with a nice little flip up. And then I'm going to do a cup of zucchini. I tried this a couple of different ways. I did try it with just squash and cauliflower, but it was a little too wet. So I'm going to just measure 5.3 rough ounces here of my zucchini. And I'm going to use my little cloth and I'm going to shred my zucchini up. Will you grab me a bowl that I can, oh actually I can use that tin, never mind. Again, if you're doing this in mass quantities, I oftentimes will bust out my food processor just so I don't have to sit here and grade. But if it's just a couple, it's no big deal. It's good arm exercises, you know. We're always looking for some exercises that we can sneak in while on phase one. So grade your zucchini up. And of course, I'm gonna use the blender twice today. It's gonna be nice and loud. I have learned from last month's mistakes. The key is thaw your vegetables before you try to grind them. It makes all the difference in the world. The other key with the zucchini is you want to squeeze out all the water. So I'm just gonna, because I'm here, I'm gonna just start twisting. If you don't have, I don't use a cheesecloth because to me there's too many holes in it. It's almost too thin. But I do like the kitchen cloths. Another thing, if your husband, you know, has a t-shirt he's throwing away, if it's good and clean, t-shirts work really well for this as well. And so I just, again, I really squeeze. The drier, the better. And then I will, even after I've squeezed it out, I'll use some of the dry parts of my rag, or I'll open it up and I will pat it with the dry parts, or even like a paper towel you can do. But you just want to get it as dry as you can because it's going to let off a lot of water. And I mean, you can tell I got a lot of liquid out of the zucchini. So it is important to do that piece of it. Now the other piece, which is the crazy piece, but again, bear with me, trust me. So I'm gonna put my cup on my scale and then I reset my scale so it comes to a 0. And we did this with both. I have tried it with zucchini, with cauliflower, and I also tried it with yellow squash. A cup of yellow squash weighs 4.4 ounces. A cup of cauliflower is 3.5. So you just want a cup of whichever vegetable you want to use. They both turned out really good in my opinion. Make sure your scale is on fluid ounces. It makes life a little easier. So there we go, our 4.4. Make a nice little mess. That's why my towel's there. So we're going to take our egg white, and we want 1/4 of a cup of egg white right here in front of me. And I like to go ahead and add my banana extract to the squash or the cauliflower, whichever one you chose to use. And really this is primarily just so that it doesn't, I don't know, I feel like it kind of takes any of, if you're worried about, oh, it's going to taste like vegetables, if you do this, it won't. So you've got 1/2 teaspoon of banana extract, and we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon, actually we're going to wait on that one. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of Splenda, so I just have packets, it's easy. I'm going to go ahead and put this in here too, just to sweeten my veggies. And then I'm going to put this guy on the blender, so it's going to be loud. And while it is blending, just so that you can't hear me talking, I'm going to put my cinnamon in here, and I'm going to give this and put my baking powder, and then give it a spin, just a stir. So, going to be loud, bear with me. And again, you can hear the blender kind of change speeds and whatnot. So as long as it's good and blended, you don't want any chunks. Another client tried the, I think it was the poke cake. I'd given her the recipe, a sneak peek, and her blender is a little crazy at times, and so she got a chunk of the cauliflower. But you know, it doesn't kill us. It just messes with us mentally. So it looks very pretty. It's kind of crazy, but this is our our squash. And like I said, I let Roland try all the versions. He liked the cauliflower version the best. Me and Nay decided I think they're pretty comparable. So we're gonna empty out our container into our bowl. And I got this idea, if any of you have seen my ice cream for lunch videos, this is where I got the idea that, hey, I bet I could use some vegetables in my cakes or my batters and really turn it into something fabulous. So again, you're just gonna mix this all up really well. Don't forget to add your zucchini. I should have probably used a smidge bigger bowl, but it's all good. All right, so get our zucchini in here and give it a nice good mix. Your cinnamon's already in, and again, this is one of those things, you know, if you don't have cinnamon and you want to use nutmeg, or you want to use allspice, or maybe you don't like any of those things, then don't use it. Just use your banana extract. And so you just want to stir till you can tell everything is incorporated. All the powder is gone, and it's a nice, pretty little batter. It's nice and thick. Not too thick though, it's very spreadable, very doable. And so use your little olive oil spray. Give your pan a spray. Spray the sides because it is going to rise up on the sides and it will stick if your sides aren't sprayed. And then we're gonna put this guy right here in the center. And again, depending on the texture you like, if you don't mind your bread a little wetter, use the bread pan. It's just so deep, it does, again, take a little longer to cook, and it stays a little wet in the middle. So I'm just gonna spread this out nicely. Now, mind you, this is also, when this comes back out, this is gonna be 2 servings, right? So we're gonna cut it in half, and we'll get half today, half tomorrow, or I get half, maybe I share half with Roland, what have you. So this is breakfast. We're gonna put this in the oven. I do use the bottom rack because it needs to stay in there so long. What I have found is the top gets really, really dark if you're not careful. And just as a side note, for my gluten people, of course, I immediately got asked, is it gluten-free? This one is not because it has pancake in it, but I did test the same recipe. You could use 2 banana puddings and an extra scoop or teaspoon of baking powder, and follow everything else the same, and it makes a nice gluten-free version. A little bit softer still, so again, cook it a little longer, use maybe even a little more shallow dish, but it gets you there nicely. So now we're gonna move on, and let's just get the cake mixed up because it does need to cook for a while. So moving right along, and again, it sounds crazy, but just trust the process. We're gonna use 2 pancakes, and again, I'm doing a kind of vanilla raspberry strawberry poke cake. You could do, we made a chocolate peanut butter one. I've made a vanilla with a chocolate. You can change this up however you want. You can use mug cakes instead of pancakes. You could use, I'm using New York cheesecake pudding, but you could totally use vanilla pudding, or you could use chocolate pudding, the peanut butter pudding, you name it. And so the possibilities are endless. Again, I'm also using the raspberry gelatin, but if you wanted, you know, let's say you wanted a chocolate poke cake, use the Knox unflavored gelatin and just put some Walden Farms chocolate syrup in there to make it a chocolate, gelatin, if you will. So, no right or wrong there either. But what we're gonna do is 1 packet and the gelatin, we're gonna just put those aside for now. So what I need for my cake batter is I need 3. 2 pancakes and a pudding, and that's what I'm gonna put in my bowl. And again, this I know sounds crazy, but the way we are going to make this the best cake you've ever had is we're using cauliflower. So after this workshop, no one can ever come to the clinic and tell us that you are not able to get your vegetables in. Because this is like the easiest, funnest, best way. Now you actually are going to have to make sure you don't go over your vegetables because it's just so much fun and so good. This has been Roland's PM snack for 2 weeks straight. I asked him what he wanted this week, if he wanted something new. He's like, nope, I want the exact same thing. So we have that. We're going to put our teaspoon, let me just turn my page, I gotta go over here to dinner. My teaspoon of baking powder. This is also a really easy recipe to double if you're doing, something, maybe you got family coming over or something of that nature. You could easily double this up. So I need to get my cauliflower. And so again, I let all my vegetables thaw before I have tried to even deal with the blender.
Are we done with this?
And so, yeah, I'll take that. And again, if I was doubling it, I use the whole 16-ounce bag. I like the florets just because they come in a 16-ounce bag. When I'm doing the 4 serving, I just do half of the bag. And so again, you don't even have to necessarily measure that if you don't want. You can eyeball it, but measuring never hurt anything either. So we're going to put our cauliflower in our measuring cup. And I believe it's 16, yeah. So if you use about 8 ounces of cauliflower, and we're going to use a half a cup of egg whites. And I go ahead and again, this is just my preference, but there's no right or wrong. You're gonna use strawberry Walden Farms. I like to put my sweet stuff in with the veggies because I just feel like it really sweetens them up. So the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons. You're gonna use 2 tablespoons now. You're gonna use the other 2 tablespoons in your topping, okay? So half now. And there is Splenda for this one as well. I don't know where it went though. I put 2 packets in each bowl. Did I already open it? I don't think so. So I'm gonna stir this up. There we go. I hid it under my towel. So I'm gonna put my Splenda in here also. And it's gonna be loud again. Not for long. And so the other day I was at H-E-B buying my banana extract and I found cake batter extract. If you don't have it, don't worry. You can totally use vanilla extract. It's what I've made every other one with, but I was so excited. I thought, oh, I have to try this just because it sounds so fun. And so ideally I should have put that in with this as well, but it's fine. So we're gonna do either a teaspoon of cake extract or a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're gonna add our pureed veggies. It's funny, if any of you have ever cooked with applesauce instead of oil, that's very much what this looks like. Before I stir it, I'll kind of show it to y'all just so you can see it.
For those of you just tuning in, she's making a cake.
The Jello poke cake. If any of you are over, I'm gonna say 30, but I maybe have to be over 40, I don't know. I'd like to think over 30. But you know exactly what this is because it was like a favorite of ours as kids growing up. We always liked it when Mom made a Jello cake. And it was so soft. It's got a little bit of a tres leches about it because it's nice and wet. So you can see there, this is the cauliflower. And I know it sounds insane and you would never in a million years think that cauliflower as a cake batter would work, but it works so good. It's fabulous. So again, you're gonna give it a really good stir. And all we're gonna do is get this cake in the oven, and then I'm actually gonna stop on the cake, the other pieces of it. We're gonna mix up just before we pull it out, because you don't want them to sit too long. The topping pieces of it, the gelatin and the pudding. So again, and you can see it, I mean, it's a pretty cake batter. It looks like
beautiful
cake.
And it is so good.
It is so good.
It is so good.
And again, if you're a person who likes cinnamon in your cake, you could add a teaspoon of cinnamon. So you're gonna spray your 8x8 pan, and we're gonna spoon this in. And again, 350 center rack. It needs to cook a good 30, maybe even 45 minutes, just depending on your oven. It's crazy though. Again, the whole put a toothpick in and it come out clean. You know it's done when it does that. And because of the vegetables, that's why you got to make sure you cook it a little bit longer than normal. So just spread this out in your pan, nice and even. Again, even though there's only 3 packets in here, when we're all said and done, we're looking at 4 packets because you don't have to count the gelatin. Over 4 especially, and so you're gonna get a 1/4 of this. I just cut it center and center and enjoy. So here's our cake. We're gonna put this in the oven for a good 30 minutes. Yeah, top shelf is good. All right, so now we're going to move on to lunch. So lunch, this was mentioned at last month's workshop. We're using and I never pulled it out. Let's see here. We're gonna use the chicken soup and a mushroom couscous. And let me just put the lid on this because I can see it coming. All right. So we've got our bowl. And again, same kind of thing. I made sure that my vegetables were thawed already.
The cake batter, did you find that at HEB?
I did. I found it. I was at the HEB in Copper's Cove because I live in Lampasas. I would assume any of the it's a big super HEB, and it was on the top shelf right there beside my banana extract. I think they kind of list them alphabetically. So yeah, I was very excited about it. It smells fabulous, so we're gonna hope it tastes as good as it smells. So for lunch, now if you don't have the mushroom couscous, you could totally use, and these are IP packets, and we have plenty of both of these. You could also use the crispy cereal, but what you wanna do is put it in your blender and grind it down. And you could grind the couscous if you wanted to as well. I did not. And so you kind of taste the little, I guess I shouldn't say you taste it, texturally is all that you know, because the couscous has a great flavor, so it has a lot of seasoning in it. Chicken soup, mushroom couscous. We're going to, because neither one of these have any kind of rising agent, So we're going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Oh, hold on, the best part, I'm sorry. As I was making this, I also decided how good would it be if we added the Healthy Fuels cheese packet, because a cheese biscuit, I mean, why not? So that's actually our third. We're doing 3 packets in here. So it's gonna make us 3 lunches. So 1, 2. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder. You got your 3 packets. We're gonna do a little bit of onion and a little bit of garlic. So we're going half a teaspoon of garlic. And again, if garlic isn't your thing, just do 1/4 a teaspoon, it'll be fine. And I'm gonna do about 1/4 a teaspoon of the onion. And really, you probably using the mushroom couscous, you could get away without doing any of this, just because it has so much flavor.
This lunch recipe is a veggie biscuit, so that's what she's working on right now.
Yes, veggie biscuit. So we've got all of our dry ingredients in our bowl. And now what we want to do is we're going to, I really like, and again, HEB, it is called chopped broccoli. So they've done the work for me. My veggies are already defrosted, so I didn't have to worry about them being too frozen. Sometimes too frozen is hard to work with. And so 1 big handful, if I were to put it on the scale, it weighs out to what a cup of broccoli is. And then my riced cauliflower, I'm gonna do 2 cups of the riced cauliflower.
Could this recipe be done with real garlic? What do you think?
With real garlic? Absolutely. Yeah, if you wanted to use garlic cloves or minced garlic, you could totally use, yeah, anytime you want to use a fresh or a fresh herb versus a powdered herb, you could do it, yes. I mean, you could even chop up a little bit of onion in here instead of onion powder. So, handful 1, handful 2. There's my 2 cups of cauliflower. So again, I've got 3 cups of vegetables, 3 packets. So I'm going to have a cup per serving because this is going to make us 6 biscuits. We need 1/3 cup of egg white. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot for the 3 packets. And it doesn't even look like it's right once we start mixing it up. But it does totally work. Let me take my Splenda packet out of there for y'all. And again, like we did last month, any of you guys that come by and either, you know, we are weighing in now if you want to come in with a mask and, you know, we have you take your temperature and sanitize. But even if you're just doing curbside pickup, we'll put testers of everything that we've made today, along with an actual printout of the menu. So
the menu is also posted on Instagram and Facebook. If y'all want to screenshot and have it in your gallery, you can do it that way too.
Follow along while we're here today. So just get it good and mixed up. And you'll notice the powder is down at the bottom, so you do have to mix and mix and mix until everything is dry. But again, if you ever make homemade biscuits, it's funny, that's kind of how it works. You sit here and mix and mix. Usually you mix with your hands because it does better. It looks like they're going to be too dry, but it's not the case at all. You can even kind of see the cheesiness of this all, so it's fun. Give you that. All right, so once it's good and mixed, then what I did was I just got a baking sheet and I put parchment paper, not wax paper. I think we've talked about this one time before. They are not the same. If you've ever accidentally put wax paper in the oven, you know, you will have a smoke alarm go off. So I give it a little spray. And we're just gonna, like a biscuit, we're just gonna dollop it on here. And you wanna kind of make, you know, 6 pretty even. If you really, you know, were concerned, you could weigh it, but it's not necessary. You can eyeball it and make sure, like that guy, I can tell he's too big. But these make some really nice, big, yummy biscuits. This is one of our clients. She, of course, I had to send it to her this morning because I modified it ever so slightly. She's always does this with the crispy cereal. It was actually a recipe in the Geneva cookbook. And so, you know, like I do, I just changed it up ever so slightly. Then I started thinking, oh, how good would it be with the cheese sauce? And so here are our 6 biscuits. Very yummy. So we're gonna bake these for 10 minutes wasn't quite enough. 15 minutes looked really good. Same thing, 350. Clearly I need a 3rd rack. The top rack is fine next to the, yeah. So those should come out before anything else. So we haven't gotten to taste anything yet, but it'll all be worth it once it's done cooking. So now we are going to get dinner going. And while dinner's cooking, just as it wraps up, then we should get to see our beautiful biscuits. So dinner is stuffed poblanos. We're going to use the air fryer today for this. And I just found, poblanos are definitely in season right now. So mine weigh somewhere between 4.5 and 5 ounces. And if you notice, sometimes you want to kind of cut it so that you're going to be able to use a flat side to set it in the air fryer. When I did it earlier, I cut it and it was on like the thing and it rolled. So if you just look where my flat side down, that's where you're going to cut, okay? And you just want to cut just top to bottom and kind of open it with your fingers around the neck, because what you're trying to do is just get the stem and the seeds out. Now, in the past, Noemi and I have made stuffed poblanos with ground meat and some other stuff. We actually would roast the poblanos first and then peel the skin off. We tried this today without doing that, and it seemed just fine. For those of you who really don't like that little thin layer, it doesn't come off until it's cooked. So once it's cooked, I was able to kind of peel it down a little bit, but the other half I didn't peel off at all, and I couldn't tell the difference. So you want to keep it kind of like that, no more open than that. Try not to break the spine if you can avoid it. So we've got one right here. And we're going to do the same thing with the other one. So again, kind of look at how am I going to lay this guy in my air fryer safely. So I'm actually cutting him right up here at the top because I think that's going to make it work the best. Same thing, just kind of gently stick your fingers in there. Try not to tear them up too bad, but you want to get that stem and the little thing of seeds out. And you know, poblanos, some poblanos are hotter than others, and so if heat is a thing, I don't really know how you tell if a poblano is hot. But pick as many of the seeds out, probably take the vein out with your fingers. Because again, the dish has a little spice, but it was yummy. It wasn't overpowering, I didn't think at all. So here's our 2 poblanos ready to go. The filling could not be easier. Now, we're gonna do half, so one of these we're stuffing with shrimp and the other one we're gonna stuff with chicken. But ideally, you could just do your recipe all with one thing and maybe what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do half and half. I'm just gonna put it all in the bowl together and stir it up and do it. So I like these riced cauliflower bags. They're 12 ounces. So remember, 3.5 is a cup, so this is almost 4 cups of vegetables. And then my poblanos each weigh, so this is 3 cups of vegetables and change, and then my poblanos each weigh almost a cup, so you're getting your 2 cups of veggies very easy. You could also do the Jolly Green Giant ones. They're 10 ounces, and so if you're worried about going over on your veggies. So again, it's already thawed because it's easier to work with. So I'm just going to dump my riced cauliflower in my bowl. I'm going to take my cheese packet and add that, almost like a seasoning. Let me get rid of that. Thank you, ma'am. We're gonna put a little salt and a little pepper. And then what I did was, again, at H-E-B, they had, it's already cooked, extra small shrimp. And if you look on the back, it says 3 ounces is a serving, and there's 4 servings in the bag. So ideally, I already used half of this, but you could just use this one bag as your for your 2 servings of meat, and you're gonna do 1 in each half, because you're only getting about 6 ounces of meat, and that's because we put the cheese packet in here. I know some people aren't on the protocol, so you could use regular cheese instead of the packaged cheese, but it just gives it such a great flavor. So this is one of my servings right here. And then I also found at H-E-B this little chicken breast fajitas. You notice it also says extra lean. So again, on the back, it says there's 2 3-ounce servings in here. So I'm going to use all of this as well. Now again, if you have a seafood allergy, right, or maybe you just don't like shrimp, then do all chicken. Or you could even do ground beef. Just, you know, do your 10 to 12 ounces of meat on the skillet, get it all cooked, and then you're gonna put it into your bowl. One thing I am gonna do, because these are more kind of a strip, so I am gonna just give them a quick chop so that they're not big hunks in my dish. So just give them a little chop. I know. And honestly, it was $2.50. So I didn't think it was very bad at all. I guess I should double check. I don't think it was $2.50 a pound. I'm pretty sure my bag was $2.50. So you got 6 ounces of meat for $2.50. It's kind of a single serving thing, but another really nice, and it was just over there by, it wasn't by the fajita meat, it was kind of by the raw meat. And then they were just setting up in little sections. So I thought it was a good find. All right, and so now you're gonna give this all a stir. And again, if your rice cauli was frozen, this would be really hard to work with. So by getting it thawed out, it just makes your life so much easier. And you don't need any liquid. You're not adding anything. It looks a little dry, but remember, you got vegetables, and so once these vegetables start cooking, it is totally going to get that cheese sauce a little wetter and give it a good feel. How's the oven doing? Looking good?
The breakfast looks nice. I don't know if it's fully cooked yet, but I guess I could test it.
That's right. Throw a toothpick in the middle and see. I bet it is not quite done. I'm thinking those biscuits are going to be done before the other. And again, if the shrimp is too big, I did the little bitty ones, but you could chop those as well if you wanted to. So this, I'm going to put half in one of these and half in the other. I'm going to go ahead and get my air fryer basket close to me. I just spray the little tray that it goes in. And then you're just going to, I use my hands. You're going to stuff, and you are going to stuff your poblanos.
This is the easiest poblano recipe
I know.
I've seen yet.
It is amazing. And how was it? You tasted it today?
It was good.
Oh my word,
So
it is
good.
so good.
It's very creamy.
Yes.
And I grew up always having to peel the poblano. And like Julia said, it's a pain. It's
Yes.
terrible.
Oh my
But
goodness.
it doesn't, the taste of the poblano does not affect whether you peel it or not, which is a new revelation.
Isn't it funny? You do things because that's how your mama showed
That's
you.
right. That's how Mama taught
And
me
don't
to
you dare
make
question it. And so
don't
that's
do
right.
it differently.
And so that's how Nay showed me. And so I asked Dr. Yogi, I'm like, did you peel that poblano? Nay told me we had to peel them. She was like, I didn't peel anything. She's like, I put this thing in the air fryer for 15 minutes and I was done. So again,
Great.
this is a serving. This is dinner, boys and girls. Now, one thing I did do, which Dr. Yogi didn't tell me to, but it just seemed like it might be a good idea, was I just kind of sprayed the outside of my poblano. I don't know why, so don't ask me. I just thought it would be something to do. So here we go. If you look in there, there is our little poblanos. They are huge. One serving, all of this equals one dish. So we are going to throw this in the air fryer. I'm going to hit on and start. So it's on for 15 minutes at 360. Now, while it's working and just as we're waiting for our other little dishes to finish, I'm going to take those gloves off because they're yucky. We're going to make the sauce real quick that we're going to top the poblanos with. And by the time we get done with that, I think our biscuits will be done. So, and again, I found this at H-E-B. I didn't look at Walmart. You do definitely want to read the labels while you are looking for this. This one to me was a great find. There was another one that was a little creamier. You also want to check out serving size. So serving size is 2 tablespoons, which is exactly what we're going to use. 10 calories. This says it has 2 carbs. Some of them had as many as 5 carbs. It's poblano and tomatillo. So tomatillos are a tomato, so they are going to have carbohydrates from them. This was a really good one. Now, this is just chilies, and it's a mild, so if heat isn't your thing, you could do this and slice up a tomatillo and just make your own little poblano tomatillo sauce. But this worked really, really well. So what we're gonna do, this is the easiest sauce you'll ever make. And those of us, anyone who's ever probably tried the ranch Walden Farms, who wonders why in the world it was created, we figured out how to use it. So we're going to do, I also learned the hard way, start with this one so I can scoop it. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of my poblano tomatillo, and I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of the Walden's Ranch. Now, you say the Walden's Ranch in my refrigerator is dated 2016 because I tasted it once and hated it and never bought it again. No fear, any creamy Walden's will work. We also now carry Walden's. I don't have ranch, but I do have a sweet onion that would work just fine with this as well. But there's a bacon chipotle, any of them will work just fine. So you just want that creamy feel to it, okay? So then I'm gonna stir this up with my measuring spoon because I didn't bring a real spoon over here. And it's just an even half-half, so same amount. And so this is 4 tablespoons, but we're gonna put half on one of our poblanos and half on the other. This actually could be a nice little dip for chips if you wanted it to be.
Cucumbers.
Yeah, cucumbers, celery, very, very yummy. And I mean, you could, as long as you kind of adhere to your serving sizes, you'll be good. So we're gonna set that aside for now. How do our biscuits look, Nay? Do we pull the biscuits out or do we need to?
Still a little soft.
A little soft. Okay, so while they're mixing up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on my water over here.
I think our breakfast is done.
Is breakfast done? And again, I used a smaller container this time than I have done in the past. And so it probably actually cooked a little faster.
It's like clear.
Did it come out clear? How does it?
It's brown on the top.
Yes. Does it feel mushy in the center or does it feel pretty solid?
That's pretty solid.
Good. So the thinner dish is key to the banana bread because when I used this, I'm telling you, I cooked it and cooked it and cooked it and cooked it and cooked it some more. He might be a little soft, but he does look good. So we're just gonna give them 5 more minutes while we mix up. We're gonna jump back over to our poke cake. How does our cake look? He should be getting yours.
He's browning on the edges, but still.
All right. So I turned on my hot water because I need hot water for my gelatin. And so I'm just gonna use roughly 4 ounces once that gets going. And then your pudding, now one thing you do have to do, you want a teaspoon of this gelatin into your pudding. So this is the topping of your poke cake. So I'm gonna stick 1 teaspoon in here, and then I'm gonna put the rest of it in my measuring cup. And then I'm going to add my water, just 4 ounces because we're making a pudding. And again, because this is the Healthy Fuels pudding, if you have IP pudding, you could totally use it. But you'll need the shaker ball if you're using IP pudding. The Healthy Fuels pudding does not need the shaker. I just put it in there. So I'm gonna put my New York cheesecake. I'm gonna put my lid on here. No. And I'm gonna just shake it up really good. And it's kind of loose, but that's okay. It's gonna thicken as we go. I'm gonna set that aside for 1 second. And I have my hot water, and I'm gonna do about 4 ounces as well. And you know, we've been talking to a lot of you guys about if you want to do some hardcore weight loss, if you've been in the clinic lately, we've redone one wall. It's, you know, 0 to 5 carbs. And if you pick your 3 packets from this carb, you're going to lose 2 to 3 pounds a week as a female. And then there's the back wall that is 5.5 to 8. You're still going to lose, you know, 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds every week. And then you kind of got your be careful, you know, do it as a treat, but don't do more than 1 a day wall. So what Nay and I did was we kind of took today and did the math. So you've got a pancake and a pudding for breakfast. That basically, those 2 packets together, and then it makes me two breakfasts, so I'm gonna do 1 today and 1 tomorrow. You were looking at like 4 and change as far as carbohydrates go. Lunch, we took something like the mushroom couscous or the cereal that is a higher carb count and put it with something like the chicken soup that is an almost non-existent carb count. And so even though lunch for 3 days, but you're looking at, I think we decided it was like 4.2 grams of carbs for each of those days for your lunch, plus you've got a cup of vegetables in there. And granted, dinner, we use the cheese packet, so there is a little bit of carbs, but it's spread out between 2, so it's only an additional 3. And then our cake ends up coming in at like 4.75 carbs. So for the day, everything that we're eating today, if this was a real day in life, you could have all of this. You would be 1 cup over on vegetables just because of how we did dinner, so you could adjust that. But a cup of cauliflower is 20 calories and 2 carbs. You're gonna still lose weight. It isn't going to knock you out of ketosis. Enjoy the day. 19.45 carbs is all you're getting in today as far as from your packets. You got still some from your vegetables, but again, they're all very safe. And so you will never think you're on a diet and you're going to lose weight. So again, this is where when you have a little fun and you mix things up, sometimes the face value of 1 packet, you can do a lot to bring carbs down and things of that nature. And you know, you're not missing out on anything. All right, so I'm gonna just check our Poblano and see how they look. They're looking very beautiful. Laying them on the flat back is key too. All right, so how does the oven look? Let's see what we've got. I think we should be able, I think our biscuits should be done. And I think our cake, let's see. Sorry. Oh yeah, very nice. And again, as these cool, they firm up also. So here is lunch. You get 2 of these. Now again, you also could just eat one and have it with, you know, a bowl of soup or a half a bag of chips, or, you know, you can be creative. But if you do both of them, 2 is your 1 protein serving and a cup of your vegetables. And it's okay that you're only getting a cup of your vegetables because you got a cup at breakfast already, so you're ahead of the game, okay? And so you see that they come off of here nicely. Once they cool, they're much more manageable. If you like them darker, you can cook them. The other thing I love about this is you will not overcook anything because of the vegetables in them. They are really giving. So this is a cooled, done, ready to consume biscuit. Very good biscuit. Come taste the biscuit, Nate. And again, you got your cauliflower and your broccoli, a little bit of yummy cheese. What do you think?
It's very good. I think the first time you made it, you did it in like a donut pan.
I did.
And I mean, that was fabulous as well.
Yeah.
Because again, the vessel doesn't matter.
The vessel doesn't matter. Then it dawned on me they're biscuits, and so you don't even need a vessel. You just throw biscuits on, you know, a cookie sheet and have at it.
Very yummy.
So good. And again, you can use a crispy cereal if you have that. You can use the mushroom couscous. Right, or you know, they're both going to turn out fabulous. So there's lunch. We want the cake to come out so we can finish it. I think he's looking pretty good.
This is my favorite.
Yes.
Of everything we're making today. Oh my goodness, this stuff is so good.
You will not believe the texture of the cake, I promise you. It is crazy.
I too have had cake last week.
And so it's hot, but I mean it is cake. It is just beautiful.
Yes.
Now, I need which is funny, I have no rounded wooden spoons. That's why I thought Nate brought me this to mix my gelatin up with. She brought me it for the round tip of this. Back in the day, all of my wooden spoons had rounded ends, but for whatever reason, they don't now. So you're just gonna go through here and you're gonna poke holes. Has anyone else ever made a poke cake? Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Anyone? You'll date yourself, I think. Nate didn't know what I was talking about. She looked at me like I was crazy. Now, the other great thing about this, Nate made this cake. If any of you have still the coveted lemon water enhancers, hello, she made a lemon cake. I made a chocolate peanut butter poke cake that was very, very good. I also made just a chocolate topped with the vanilla cake base at the bottom, and it was very yummy. So there you go. You're gonna poke your holes.
The recipe we're making today makes 4 servings. So if you're on phase 1, you can only have 1 of your 4.
Yeah, you cannot eat the whole cake.
No. You might want to, but don't do it.
But honestly, you really it is fabulous, but it isn't one of those things that triggers cravings and you feel like you're going off of you are happy with your 1 piece of cake. And then you think to yourself, wow, I'm putting this in the fridge and I get 1 tomorrow and 1 the next day. So we just poured the gelatin over the top, filled it all in. It filled in all those little holes. Now we're going to take, I need the blue spatula. And again, I just pull the ball out of here. And really, because I could have not even used the ball, it would have done just great without it. Sorry. And so I mix this up. I like putting, oh, you know what I messed up. I didn't put my other tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. Oh, that's okay. We'll save it. We don't need it right now because we will use that. Because I'm using the gelatin in the pudding, I didn't have to put my Walden Farm strawberry, but you're going to use a little bit of that strawberry every time you serve your cake.
I don't think I did gelatin on mine.
You did not. I think, and again, because we only had the raspberry, I just thought about the whole Knox thing that you could use the plain and season it up. because it really, once this thing sits in the fridge and it just soaks all that up, it's quite fabulous.
It
So
looks so good.
here is our poke cake. And again, you get a fourth of this. So what we're gonna do, even though it's hot right now, we're gonna cut it down the center. And you cut it down the center this way. I will need one more of these plates. Can you grab me a spatula too, please? I'm sorry. And for those of you who do not use any kind of dairy, like, you know, we often tell people you're allowed 1 ounce of milk in your coffee if you wanted. We've gotten to where we don't even really talk about the 1 ounce of milk because we would much rather use our milk this way. So you do this. Granted, it's still piping hot. You can do some Ready Whip if you have no lactose issues and I don't find you in the refrigerator doing this. That's not allowed. So if you can have this in your fridge and just do this with it, 2 tablespoons, and then you pour just a little of your Waldens on top of that. That is dessert. Nay says, let me taste this.
And Joni, I won't eat it all. We'll have testers for everyone to try.
Yes.
However, I get to have it now.
That's her piece. She just needs a spoon to enjoy it with.
I do. Let me grab a spoon.
And in the meantime, the air fryer has beeped. Here is dinner, boys and girls. So, I have these nifty little tongs that I think made my life a little easier. And all my stuffing stayed in so beautifully.
Wow.
So there is one. And again, you can make dinner for 2 or you can have dinner today and dinner tomorrow. There's dinner number 2. And what you don't want to forget is that you have your Poblano sauce.
Wow.
That you're going to put over the top. So half over this one. Sorry. And half over this one. And bon appetit. Enjoy.
Wow, wow, wow.
So, I think the only thing we haven't got to see is breakfast. So, let me pull breakfast out of the oven.
Did you guys see? I'm going to show it.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that look amazing? It looks so good. Yeah.
It is so good. And here's our banana bread. Nice and golden and pretty. And so again, what I'm gonna do is, he's medium hot, not burning to death hot. Just run your spatula along the edges. And this again, it's 2 servings. So what you wanna do is cut it in half. I didn't spray that one little section clearly. I like to let it kind of cool in the pan, again, just because of the amount of vegetables that we're dealing with. But you don't have to. Woo, that almost flew off of there. That'd have been a debacle. I didn't spray my pan good enough. I'm sticking. Dog it. Hold on. Hold on, boys and girls. I'm gonna just run this guy down the edge. There it goes. Yeah. All right, try again. There we go. And so, we cut this in the middle. If you let him cool, he is much more cooperative. But half today, half tomorrow. And here is our banana bread. So that is not a bad breakfast either, just so you know, from a size standpoint. Nice and hot.
It's bigger than a piece of toast.
Much bigger and heartier than a piece of toast. So, breakfast, lunch is our biscuits, dinner, and snack. A day in the life of phase 1. I say not too shabby. Personally, this is far better than I ever ate before I did protocol. Does anyone have any questions?
People want to come over.
Come on.
You can get a special 100.
All right. So again, like I said, we will put all of these in little testers like we did last time. I have a gluten-free version. Not obviously, I think the cake is not gluten-free. You could definitely try it with 2 puddings or 4 puddings instead. We did do the banana bread as just an offset with just pancakes, and it worked. I mean, just puddings, sorry, and it worked just fine. So we will give y'all testers, and we will give you the actual hard copy of the recipe when we see y'all next week. We are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 3 for the most part. A couple of days, people's schedules don't allow anything else, and so let me know that, and we can definitely accommodate you. Thank you for joining us. Don't touch your face and wash your hands. And if you've got the Corona 15 or 19, we're here to help you at Ideal Weight Loss. Have a great day.